They're like, oh, no, that's okay. I almost feel like they're concerned that I'm going to like record them trying to bribe me, which I would.
Of course, that's who you are.
So when they realized, when they danced on that precipice and they realized where I was coming from, I think they realized, oh, Keefe could expose me. And to their credit, they back off. And there's that interesting dance where they're in their minds trying to corrupt me, but they then realized I could expose them. Yeah, so there's been that. Yeah.
So you hear a message like that with life and, your life's on the line and some of the stories you pursue. Now, here's the thing. Politically, James, what would you say you are politically?
I don't even know anymore. I say the truth. I did a story on Pam Bondi.
That's exactly where I'm going with this. Yeah.
I took a hit. I think I tell stories by way of example because I think it's better than abstractions. I did a story on the Attorney General of the United States, and it was hard for me because I don't dislike her or like her. It's not about whether I like someone or dislike them. It's about whether the public has a right to know the information I'm exposing. I tend to have been branded as a conservative only because I felt the legacy media in the last decade and 2 decades has been not telling the truth. And if you do tell the truth, then you're branded as a right-winger. But I don't even know what these terms mean anymore. I really don't know what it means to be a liberal or conservative anymore. Do you? I don't understand.
I think conservative values are pretty clear. I think liberal values are not today. They're confused. But conservative values, family, country, America first, making sure we're not going for nonsense wars where people's kids are fighting a war that's unnecessary because somebody's making money on the back end and deals are getting done. Faith, freedom of speech, those are conservative values, right? That I would say they're there. And watching you, I would say you have
constitutionalists.
Okay,
I'm a very strong First Amendment, perhaps one could say absolutist on the First Amendment, with some exceptions. So I would say I believe in, for example, one of my values and virtues is I believe in equal justice before the law. I think the law should, I know that it's impossible, but we should try to emulate this. The law should treat people equally. Some would say that's a conservative value, right? That's an American and quite conservative value. And I also believe in the freedom of speech, and I'm an absolutist when it comes to that.
Yeah, and where I'm going with this is the following. So video comes out because a lot of conservatives were told on day one, week one, we're going to find out about Epstein, 9/11, MLK, John F. Kennedy. We're going to find all that stuff out. And we've been wanting it for a while to see what's going on with this, who's behind it, especially the last few years at a whole different level. And we're going to find out who the assassination attempt was. Was he tied to anybody? Was Thomas tied to anybody? And then we all see the same clip that you've seen, right? It's the clip with Bongino and Kash Patel.
Yes.
If you can pull that clip up, Rob. And, these are two men that almost anybody who knows, I think that's the one right there. Almost anybody that knows them would call them patriots, right?
Yeah.
They've served their country. They've given their lives to the country. Dan has at the highest level, so has Kash Patel. And then we see this clip here that throws a lot of people off. Go for it, Rob.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work. You said.
And you saw people that have done body language. Dan looks uncomfortable saying what he's saying. The way he answered it, you can tell they've role played that. And now this is purely what people are speculating, right? And then you have this one clip with Pam Bondi.
Correct.
Rob, if you have the Pam Bondi one,
I'd like to play
so
that.
Maybe walk us through what's going on here before we.
And I don't know if you want me to narrate live as opposed to watching me on the screen.
What's better to do?
Perhaps we go to the beginning of where you see Pam Bondi on the hidden camera. So I'll just talk live what I said on the camera. Okay, so there she is at the White House. Go back to the beginning of that clip of her. So that was a tough one for me to publish because you asked if I'm political, and I think I'm. You have to decide who you want to be. Are you a political operative or are you a journalist? And to be a journalist, it's hard because you have to do things like this. Pam Bondi was caught in a restaurant telling a stranger, a nanny, on April 28th or so, that there are tens of thousands of videos involving little children. Now, I didn't target her. I didn't seek to get this. People send me stuff. Sometimes I have undercover people all over the country, and they happen to get a conversation in an airport. I get sent this. I'm like, holy shit. This is not public. The Attorney General of the United States, and by the way, Kash, I believe the FBI reports to her, so this is the top dog, is saying to a nanny in a restaurant something that no one knows. And to me, I'm like, well, that's an interesting story, is it not? So I do what I have to do. I reach out to the Attorney General's office for comment. I say, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, was caught in a restaurant saying, and I actually wonder whether I should have done that. I probably did him a favor by giving them the exact quotes. And then a few days later, she says the exact same thing publicly that I emailed the Attorney General's office for comment saying, and play the clip of her at the White House. This is what she said.
Of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
What you may not know is just 9 days prior, the Attorney General had a very similar conversation with a total stranger in a restaurant.
Do you know when the Epstein files are going to get released?
We hope soon. The FBI's been.
Okay.
So,
any dates?
No, you know what it is? There are tons and thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids. So they have to go through every one.
Pause. So it's interesting because she said it privately in a restaurant
Publicly
in a restaurant, not privately. And to me, it's like, that's something. So I felt like I had to publish this. Now, if she hadn't have gone publicly and said this, and I had released this clip in the restaurant, it would have been a much, much, much bigger deal. But it does raise questions, doesn't it? Why are they not being transparent with the American people? Why are they telling a nanny in a restaurant? So it raises questions to your point about Kash. I know Kash a little bit. I think he is a good man. And I mean that. Based upon what I know about him. I don't know Dan as much, but I also think he's a good man. I don't trust the bureaucracy that reports to them. And if you put any good man and the most ethical person at the top of that bureaucracy, I think you're setting them up for failure.